Hey, how's it going, everybody? Today I'm going to be building a platform for the top of my cabinetry in the garage. As you can see, this is old kitchen cabinets. That's where the sink was, and of course that's where the countertop was. But now I'm going to be transforming it into my garage workspace. So I have a scrap piece of plywood. I have several actually, so we'll just go ahead and get started. The only thing that you're going to do is you'll need a saw, circular saw. You'll need screws. You'll need a standard drill and a leveler of some sort if you like, and the right angle blade. So just gonna move this along here. Now, one important thing is you don't want to cut a piece there to fit that and then cut a piece to fit that side, because when you go for the middle, it needs something to hold on to. So I'm just going to overlap this completely. You see there? Overlapped it completely. I'll drill that right into the slats there, and then I'll just cut a piece to size for that and for that. It's relatively simple. So what I'm going to do now is just drill a screw in there, and basically in each one of these boards, the horizontal boards, I'll drill one screw in, or I'll just drill a screw in at the front and at the back. But more than likely, I'm going to drill one screw in each board, and if you have a nail gun, that can work as well. So I'm going to go ahead, drill that down, and I'll be back. Now I made my cut. There's my extra piece of wood. I cut it flush. One thing you want to pay attention to is when you're putting in these screws, look how far down it's gonna go. So as you can see, mine will go that far down. I don't want it to go that far down in the front because I have this drawer here. So when I'm in there, stick my hand in there. If that screw's there, it'll catch my hand. So I got a shorter screw, and that's what I'm going to use for the front, but I will use these for the back because my hand isn't going to be that far back into a drawer, so it doesn't matter. So I'll go ahead and finish up my screwing, but I put one in already, and as you can see, I just embedded it into the wood a little bit with my impact drill because I don't want to catch a screw when I'm up here working. So just push that down a little bit, and as you can see, it's already starting to come together. I may or may not use that spare piece, but we'll see. If not, I'll just get another piece of this plywood and make 2 additional cuts. So I'll finish screwing in. I'll be back. So I went ahead, screwed that in. Now with my spare piece of wood, I'm gonna give myself 2 cuts. And what that's going to do is allow me to just utilize this wood effectively. So I'm gonna make a cut right here. I'll mark that with my Sharpie, and then I'll just have that little piece to fill in, which I'll be able to fill in with that piece of wood. So I've already went to the edge of the cabinet there, and I'm gonna stick this Sharpie right under to mark where it ends. Draw straight along, and then I'll make that cut. So I'm getting my pieces in. There's one, there's the middle piece, there's that piece, 2 more small cuts, and I'll fill that in, and the entire thing will be one solid, well, it won't be solid, but it'll be one solid looking countertop for that counter there, and we'll continue on with this project. All my cuts is as they should, but the one thing I'm not liking, now at first it didn't matter. It's clearly 2 different pieces of plywood. I was gonna paint it all like a kind of dark gray or black, something like that, so it really didn't matter. But then I started looking at my nice little Minwax there, and I was trying to get this butcher block look, which is coming out nicely. I'll then go ahead and put that lacquer on it at the end, but the issue with it is the stain is going to look totally different. So what I'll end up doing is getting a different piece of plywood, a new piece, and just filling that in. However, you guys can see exactly how it came out. And this last piece over here I haven't put in, but it went from 100% open, and I have the other piece for the top, I just haven't put it in, to now all nice and closed off. And that's just how you do it, you know. I just have to screw some pieces in. I know you guys don't need a tutorial how to screw in a piece. I'm gonna get some wood filler, fill those cracks, fill those seams, so it'll be 100% seamless. You won't even know that there's multiple pieces of plywood. And then I'm gonna go ahead and stain it all up. It'll be beautiful. Now I know, just being on YouTube, somebody is gonna say, hey, you didn't show yourself painting or staining. So here's a couple of strokes of the stain. You always want to go in the same direction as your grain, which is what I'm doing. All right, so now I'll spare you guys watching me paint, but I'll show you how it looks when I'm all done. For this portion of the remodel, I'm gonna be staining this piece of plywood. You see I already got it cut to size. It's 2 feet. Just took a simple sheet of plywood, cut it directly in half. So that's 2 feet by 8 feet long. I'm gonna stain it with some golden oak wood finish. You always want to go with the grain. As you can see, that's the way the grain is going, so that's the way I'll paint that on. And you guys don't want to see me paint, but again, you want to go with the grain. And if you spill, make sure you get it, because it will stain in the way that you spill it. For instance, if I left that right there, that stain will be darker right there. But in any event, I'm going to go ahead and stain this, and I'll show you what it looks like once I'm done. So as you can see, it's coming along good here. In my method, I just dip the brush, let it pool, and then do a little overlap from where I just painted, paint the rest. Again, let it drip. You want to get these parts that drip, because again, it will stain in that manner. So you don't want to let it just sit, because you'll have an uneven stain. But it works relatively quickly. Wood is very porous, so again, just let it drip, stain on. So I'll continue this process, and when you get it like that, don't let it sit, because you will have an uneven pattern like that. So you want to get it in really good, so there is no variations in your application. See how that's blending in, that little pot spot right there. You want to get that, because it will stain on you. So I'll continue, and then show you the finished product. Just continuing on, as you can see, it's looking good. I love the look of wood grain, especially when it's stained. So I just got to finish up that back portion, but as you can see, it's looking good. So the next one you'll see, it'll be a finished full board. So I got my board all stained up, did the last piece there. You can see it's looking pretty good. So I'm gonna let this sit outside. I can't stress enough, you want to do this outside if possible. I did a piece in the garage not too long ago, and the stint was there for about 4 days. Strong as it was, that's the first. So you definitely want to do this application outside, because until you seal it, that stench of this stain is going to be very pronounced in an inside application setting. So do it outside when possible, and you'll save yourself a lot of headache, probably literally. So I'm going to go ahead, let this dry completely. I'll probably leave it out for at least a few hours before putting it inside of the garage. So I'll be back with that step. And there's that before shot. I'm gonna install a light. I'm going to install a countertop. As you can see, it just goes straight down due to these boards. So on this entire section, I'm going to be installing some plywood, stain it up real nice, cut it to size, and it's going to look really good. Show you guys. Let's get to work. So here she is, looking pretty spiffy, if I say so myself. So at first I was going to screw down the countertop here, but now I decided to install finished nails, so that way you won't be able to notice the install. So as you want to line everything up, easiest way to do it is just when you line it up, rub your finger like this. When it goes flush, you won't get any of that getting stuck. So it's pretty flush there. I already installed my first finished nail, which is right there. And a little trick is to stick another one on top and hit that one, and then that'll get it flush. If you're installing this before you sand, then when you drive down a finished nail, you can just put a little bit of wood putty in there and then cover the hole and you'll never see it. But I wanted to stain mine outside because of how strong the fumes were, so that's really not applicable. So I'm going to finish installing these nails, and then I'll be right back to make them a really good install. If you have a little baby solid sledgehammer, that makes it the easiest. It's really weighted and it's a lot more effective than one of those, or even a heavy duty hammer like this. The best thing to use is one like that, because you give it a good whack, it'll go straight in. So I'm going to go ahead and get this flush here and finish nailing in. And there it is, installed. Still got that one little piece right there. That is looking very good. Go ahead and let this stain finish soaking in 100%. You can see it's still a little wet, and then I'll show you guys the absolute finished product. Here's the second section that I'm going to do. I'm going to take up that piece, install a fresh piece running all the way down. So it'll be identical to this one. I'm going to go ahead and just duplicate the staining process that I did here for the next side. It's getting a little dark, so I'll wait until tomorrow. It's daylight, and I'll show you guys the next process. So I'm working on this next section, and I had a piece of plywood that was already stained, and I just don't like it. The stain it's the exact same stain, but as you can see, it looks totally different, and I ain't like that, so I'm not going to use it. Another reason, as you can see, that little gap right there, you can see the difference. I'm not a fan of that gap, because you see how my finger gets stuck? I don't like that. I want it 100% flush, so I'm not going to be able to use this piece. And again, excuse the car, but this side is done. That side, of course, is not. So I'm going to do the exact same thing I did with this one. I already have another board that's cut. That is 8 feet exactly, and that's what I'm going to use to cover. If you're wondering where I got these cabinets from, if you can just go to any secondhand store, I got all of the cabinets that you see for 75 bucks. That's all it was. And these are just old kitchen cabinets, and that's of course where the sink was. So I'm just going to go ahead and go right over that and then everything will be complete. That'll be the final step. I already showed you the painting, the finished nails, everything that's needed. And as you can see, it came out looking really good. I don't know why those are looking so light around the knots, but I guess just what it decided to do. But the stain came out really good, as you can see. And I'll go ahead, repeat the last step on this board, and I'll show you what it completely looks like when we're all done here. So here's the next board that's gonna get installed. I already know, let's get some more light in here. So I already know this board is too long for that section. So I'll show you guys how to do a quick, easy measure. And all I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take this board, and I'll just see if I can do it with one hand here. Maybe a little difficult, but we'll get it done. Gonna go ahead and stick it up here. Make sure it's nice and snug. All right. And then, as you can see, right there is the overlap. So you see that's how much overlap I have. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a Sharpie, and right where it overlaps, I'm going to draw my line right across, and then I'm going to take my saw, I'm going to make that cut, and basically from there on down. And then once that piece is cut off, it'll fit perfectly. I'll be right back. Now I went ahead and marked where it was right there, just brought it up a little bit, and then made my line. You definitely want to get you one of these right angle straight edges. I was gonna freehand it, you know, with the regular ruler, but you definitely want to get you one of these right angle edges, so that way you know your lines are always perfect. You have right angles, so when you make your cut, you won't be dealing with uneven wood. So there's the mark. I'm gonna take that off with my saw, and then should have a perfect fit under there. So I'll go ahead and make that cut. But again, I just took it, made the cut, or made the mark based off of where it's overlapping. So I'll go ahead and make this cut, and I'll show you what it looks like after that. Now I made my cut. I haven't tried to place it in yet. There's the piece that I just cut off. I don't know if it's gonna fit. So with all honesty, I haven't tried it. So we'll see if my cutting is accurate. Here's the moment of truth. It should slide right on in. But we'll see. All right. I'm not liking that gap right there. Not at all. So what I'm gonna have to do, hey, they say measure twice and cut once. I should have did that. I'm just gonna make my gap be over here, because I'm definitely not gonna entertain that much of a gap. So we'll go ahead and get that in. It's kind of difficult with one hand. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna scoot this in so there's no gap, nail it on both ends, and then I'll show you how much of a gap is over here once I'm done. So just put my first nail in right there, come over here, still see that little gap. So before nailing anything else, you always want to come over here, nothing else is nailed. I'm just gonna push it down a little, see if that did the trick. Nope, I don't even like that gap. So push it again, see what we get. I think that'll do it right there. Bingo. There we are. So I'm going to take one of my finished nails Get you a nice little solid hammer that works really good. Nail it in right there. And then the rest, smooth sailing. Just making sure it's flush, which it is, and we'll nail about. And if you get a little bend in your wood like that, it really doesn't matter, because once you put it down, nail it in, it's all gonna be good. So I'll nail. I'll be back. So I want you guys to see how these finished nails will suck a piece of wood right to its where it should be. So get that rattle out of the way. Beauty. So there's the nail. No more gap. Wherever you see a gap that you don't want, put another nail in it. I'm going to go ahead and clean all this junk up, show you the finished product. There she is. She's a beauty. This light is garbage, but there's nothing I can do about that, folks. Seen what it was. Let's see if I can get some more light here. I just put another phone up and it's not doing anything. But there she is. Probably gonna put a little clear coat on top of that wood. Just make it pop even more. I don't know if this light makes it worse or what. Let's see if that's better. Guess it's a little better, but there she is, all the way down. And this is one piece of plywood. Plywood will be 8 feet by 4 feet. This is one sheet. Sorry it's so dark, but this doesn't want to look properly today. But that is how you install some pretty nice countertops for your garage. Until the next one, see you guys later. So there she is, folks. There's the finished product. You saw the before, and there's the after. Hope you like it.